Hi, everyone. I'm Verna Collins Odom, and thanks for being here for this edition of Podbites with Verna. We have an update show for you today. My guest from the first episode of Podbites is back. If you listen to the shows, you have already met Eric Collins, a venture capitalist who has a successful firm in the UK. Well, just this week, he officially added to an already attention-grabbing list. He is now the host of a new television show in the UK called The Prophet. And if you watch the US version, you of course get the concept. I must say, I have been particularly excited about this news because Eric is my brother. Hello again, Eric, and thank you for coming back on the show with me.
Hi, Verna. Thank you for having me.
You were, of course, on Podbites at the end of December, and now you are sitting here as the prophet. What a difference a couple of months make, huh?
It's true that at the time when you and I were speaking, we actually had recorded. We started recording back in October. So the Prophet had actually been underway for a bit, but it wasn't something about which we could speak. And now that it has been officially announced, then I can talk about it. Of course,
Okay, well, what
in
is
the
the
background
most,
anyway.
say that last part again?
I said, of course, you knew about it in the background anyway.
Right, right. And I had to keep that secret, and it was tough, but I did it. And I'm so excited to be able to blast it out now because it's really interesting. The most obvious question I wanted to ask you, how did it happen? How did you get the opportunity to become the prophet? I know you have the credentials, obviously. A few things make it really extraordinary, though. First of all, you're an American and you're in the UK. You've made a lot of investments in the people and the culture, but still, you've only been there for 7 years. And some might have thought, well, you're African American. With all those factors, how did the creators and the production company hone in on you?
It is a good question because there are what 65 million people in the UK. Of those, there are a certain number that are of my age and have my background. And it's not that I'm particularly well known in the UK outside of the circle in which I'm involved, investing in small companies. It actually came through my PR person for Impact X, the venture capital firm. She had been approached about the chair of my board and him participating in the program. And he felt that it would be good for me to actually sort of work with him if that was going to be a concept and on the show. And from there, we met the producers. The producers told us what they wanted to see. They heard us talk to each other about business and said, "This, I think we can put you two together on the program." Eventually, my chair said, "I'm much too busy to do this." And he was starting a podcast. And so then it was narrowed down. Well, we still want to work with you. We like the concept, Eric. We're going to go with you as a single prophet.
Okay. Now that's incredible. You then had not been planning this or thinking about this really yourself, this kind of public format to do what you already do and what you love, investing in entrepreneurs and helping them to make their dreams come true, but really a win-win in this situation. This wasn't on your radar.
No, it wasn't. We do some publicity because the challenge you have when you're an investor is you have got to find deals. You just have to be able to find them. And you hope that sometimes people will actually come to you with deals. So you spend a good deal of time, at least from our perspective, one of the best ways to get known is by putting your name out there, by speaking at conferences, by being quoted in the newspaper. Sometimes you're on television with an interview. All of those sorts of things help people to see. And when you're on there, you of course say that it's Impact X. Look us up at impactxcapital.com. And those are some things which drive deal flow. That then gives you an opportunity to find good organizations in which to invest. And being in venture capitalists, it's all about creating a pipeline, a lot of organizations that you look at in order to get to a few into which you invest. So it is what I do. And possibly based on that, I was then comfortable with the idea that having done interviews on television, how bad could it be then being the prophet and then having someone follow you around with the camera doing what you do?
Is that a comfortable space to be in? Somebody following you around with the camera doing what you do.
Well, you know better than I do, right? You're a person who's been a television journalist. You had a television journalism career for years, and you did work out in the field. But I guess you were sort of pointing the camera at other people frequently, asking them questions. For me, it is very strange to be asked to sit down with a camera pointed at you and then to speak truth into that camera while managing, am I, blinking a lot? Am I saying too many times? Plus trying to get across the points that you are trying to get. over the years, it becomes a little bit more natural, but I don't think it's ever truly natural for you to then be talking in a broadcasting fashion. And it's even stranger when you're usually in rooms with entrepreneurs, really grilling them about information, trying to build working relationships, trying to understand what might be the challenges in this business. And then there's a camera person there who tells you every now and then to stop and try that same line again.
Hmm.
And you're thinking to yourself, I'm trying to analyze this company. And they're thinking, well, we have a bad camera angle. So if we did it this way, it would actually look better so that the audience could understand better at home what's going on. So,
So, and this is real as far as you are investing your money. So this is not something like you just said, you're sitting here trying to analyze a company.
correct. I'm trying to make a decision about investing my hard earned money. It took me a while to earn that money. And I'm trying to figure out, will this money, it's called the profit because I'm trying to make a profit. And I'm also trying to help these companies to grow. We're in an unprecedented time in the world. Small and medium sized businesses, companies that are sole proprietorships or sole traders here in the UK, all the way up to companies that make tens of millions of pounds or dollars a year, those companies are struggling. And many of these companies have been started by well intentioned, hardworking, smart people. But it's an unprecedented time. No one's ever been through this before. And if you are in the world of COVID, you're in a small town or village, and your business has been closed down for month after month, you have never really gone online. How do you then transfer what you know, all those experiences into a forward plan of action that's going to help you to survive and then to thrive? And so part of what the prophet does, I consider it sort of God's work. You're coming in to try and help people who are truly in distress. And hopefully, if it works really well, people who are watching can also get some lessons as to what they can do. So that's my hope, that this prophet becomes prophet with a purpose. And that's what I'm looking for.
It sounds like it's very rewarding as far as the way you're telling it, that it does something for you personally, other than help you to make money.
I hope so, Verna. I really do. It would be there are easier ways of making money than to be sitting at the short end of a lens, being focused on and being sort of micromanaged with lights and cameras and angles and all that other sort of thing. However, there's nothing more rewarding than to actually come into an organization, work with a team of business people to come up with a new course of action, help to map that out in discrete bite-sized chunks, and then in a short period of time, try to see that transformation through. There's nothing more rewarding than you see light bulbs going off. You see sort of an energy pickup. You see a new aha moment happening, not just before your eyes, because I'm not a magician. This is not rocket science, but it is something that, because I've been a consultant, I've been an investor, I've run a lot of businesses on many different continents. It allows me to take those experiences, and then I read a lot, I talk a lot to other people, and I can take those experiences and then pour them into these organizations, and hopefully pour them in a way which is, consumable, understood, and then, can be acted upon.
And you mentioned this a little bit. It's a very deep well when we dip into your experience pool. You have a long reputation of using innovative strategies, building value of digital based companies like AOL. I'm just going to name a few: Time Warner and Microsoft, Swift Key. Your in depth business knowledge and unrivaled connections actually led President Barack Obama during his term in office to invite you to work on small business program that he had. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what this means when you look back over your life and you're connecting some dots? Do you see how maybe some of these positions and your trajectory was going here to the profit, even though, like I said, it wasn't on your radar necessarily, how you ended up here?
I was on the phone today. It's with my one of my godchildren. I have eight, I think 8 or 9 godchildren, and the oldest one is an act. She's a Broadway actress, and it's a very different field from me. And I'm having the same conversation with her today about something that she's been doing. She actually has a podcast, Verna. So Salada has a podcast.
Oh, wow.
And so we're sitting there talking. I was telling her about yours, and I was telling her I was going to be doing this tonight. And she was telling me about she has been doing hers for 2 years. So she has a lot of content. And then she was also telling me about something that she's writing as a pilot for a show. That's what you write in order to have then a comedy or a drama that's on one of the streaming services on one of the broadcast networks.
Mm.
And I said to her the same thing that you said to me just now. There are a lot of things that you have done in your life that have led to a point that you have a particular skill set that you can then leverage into another situation. And that part of what you're doing at this stage is trying to get it to click.
Mm.
You're trying to get all of those things to work in concert in order to be able to then progress the next portion of your life. And if you're very lucky, as I have been, and if you're harder working than I am, what you have been able to do is you've been able to have a series of jobs, a series of roles. And instead of using those roles to just go from, one position and then up the corporate ladder, which has happened to me a little bit, or to go from one position to another in order to make money, I've gone from one position to the next in order to try and acquire a certain amount of skill. I would like to have made additional money. I would have liked to have gotten sort of promoted within the organization. But the most and critical element was not that. The most critical element is what is the set of experiences that I can then use to draw upon later in another situation that will then help me to do something else and help to open other opportunities. I found that to be the most fascinating piece. So I've been, although right after law school, I became a strategy consultant. And then after that, I started my own company, and then I joined a technology company, and then that company got sold, and then I joined another one, and that one got sold, and then I joined another one, and that one got sold. It allowed me to choose and be in different environments. It allowed me to be in different industries. It allowed me to be in different continents. It allowed me to be in different cities, all of which helps to then make a well-rounded set of experiences that hopefully can be drawn upon in things like the profit or in things like my other investing work to get good outcomes and help to support businesses through not only tough times, but just novel opportunities.
That's a great way of looking at it. We have about 15 seconds, but I'm going to stuff this question in here. We know that life experiences are about lessons, as you're kind of saying, and we're to take away something to use it later, to pass it along. Tell me, what have you learned as you have worked these various positions and roles? And I'm going to stop the timer and we're going to wrap it up. But what have you learned, and what you've kind of said some of it, but what can you share with that person who is going through a tough time, maybe a small business or an entrepreneur who's trying to do more? What would be your advice to them? What can you share?
I would say that, and this is a very strange statement, failure is a privilege. That if you are young enough, if you are resilient enough, if you are supported enough around you, the ability to fail, take a look around at that failure, and then to move on to another thing is a great privilege. And I have been privileged in my life to fail many times and to have to rethink, to have to regroup, to have to retrench, and then come back with a rethink of what it is I'm going to do next. And it has been a privilege to do that. Now, sometimes it means I have to have saved money. Sometimes it means I have to rely upon my partner. Sometimes it means that I have to, sell off some assets that I have. But one of the things that it has allowed me is to not necessarily believe that the current situation that I'm in has to be the situation that in which I remain. That I can choose to stay doing what I'm doing, or there's something else. And sometimes people force me to think about something else because no longer do I have that opportunity. But that failure is actually a privilege, and there's so much to be learned, as much to learn in success, in failure, as there is to learn in success. I think that's what I would have learned throughout my career.
Well, great insight and advice, Eric. And of course, obviously, this conversation could go on for 2 hours, but we have to cut it here. Thank you so much for your time. I just want to leave people with some bites to go that Eric had mentioned. One of the things that you talked about was that there is nothing more rewarding, you said, than an awareness or an aha moment with people in whom you are investing. And you said you don't do magic tricks, but that you enjoy seeing that light bulb go off with folks in whom you're investing. You also talked a little bit about luck that you've had. And I would venture to say that you call it luck. I call it strategic planning. I've watched you in action as your sister. I've seen it up close. But you talked about being lucky. and that you can leverage and have a series of roles and to be really well-rounded, a well-rounded set of skills so that you're able to recreate yourself, as I always talk about, you've done a million times, and you just talked about that yourself over your years in the business. Also, you talked just about failure and failure being a privilege and the ability to fail, recreate, and to move on. So those are some key ideas from Eric, who came in today and to talk to us again about his new role as the prophet. We are so excited for you, Eric. As I said, I just have to let you know I have folks from our old neighborhood in Greensboro where we grew up, from our church where we were, junior high, high school, an outpouring from people just supporting you. People you don't even know who I know are just wanting to say congratulations, and they're looking and hoping to be able to watch this on television vision themselves. So I will get that information from you, get it on the website here if we can find out if we're going to be able to see it and when we might be able to see it. I'm going to put that in here for all of you to be able to take a look at. Thanks so much, Eric, for your time.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody, if you have any questions that you want to ask Eric, I'm going to have him on here again because, as you see, he is a wealth of knowledge, and he has been so twice on our show. So we want to keep going with Eric, but he, of course, is available through Podbites. You can contact me. You can send any questions here, podbiteswithverna.com. I will get those over to Eric. And I just want you to be sure to be back here next Sunday on Podbites again so that you can listen to another conversation and hopefully take something away with you. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.